Welcome to What Self-Care Looks Like. I'm your host, Brittany Elliott. It may be hard to hear, but self-care is not spa days, a weekend getaway, or brunch with your bestie. True self-care is the practice of protecting your well-being and happiness, and it lives within your daily routine. I'm a self-care and mom life coach here to help you prioritize your needs and practice self-care in a meaningful way so you can reclaim joy in your motherhood experience. Let's get back to you. Hey everybody, welcome back to What Self-Care Looks Like. This is Brittany Elliott and Happy New Year. I am very excited to be getting back to a new and fresh season of What Self-Care Looks Like. And if you're new here, welcome. And if you're a regular here, welcome back. Again, I'm Brittany. I'm your self-care and mom life coach here to help you prioritize your needs and practice self-care in a meaningful way so that you can reclaim joy in your motherhood experience. That's the name of the game, and that's what I do. This season specifically is dedicated to the New Year's refresh. So if you haven't heard me open up the new year before, with past years, I am someone who is really not a huge advocate for New Year's resolutions. There's a lot of research that supports that most people actually stop pursuing their New Year's resolution by the time February comes around. And that's typically because we don't set our intentions properly when we're creating these resolutions. And so I always, my goal, I suppose, is to help you set goals that truly do align with the vision that you have for your life and be very intentional about those goals so that you can achieve them and really help you balance the fact that life sometimes just throws some curveballs, and a goal that we set now may not actually be a goal that aligns with us maybe 6 months from now. Maybe we didn't set it with having all of the information that we needed. So really understand that your goals can fluctuate and you're allowed to change your mind. So nothing that you set is really setting it in stone. It's really about living your life intentionally and with purpose, and really seeing your goals and make sure that those are the roadblocks that you really need to hit to get to the vision that you have for your life long term. But sometimes if a goal is just something that doesn't feel right anymore, you can definitely let those things go. So if you haven't yet, I want you to make sure you download the companion guide for the refresh, and you can get that at backtouin5.com/mom. I'll link it in the show notes for you, but that's going to be our companion guide for the entire season. So we're going to be working out of this document. You don't have to print yours. I printed mine. It is a PDF. You can type right in there. But I'm a paper girly, so I still printed mine. And essentially, we're going to work through this for these first 7 weeks of the year. And so for this episode, for season 16, episode 1, it's all going to be about reflection, all about us reflecting on 2024. We're not even going to be setting any goals. If you did a vision board for going into 2024, you're going to want to grab that so you can do some reflecting on some of the goals that you maybe did accomplish for 2024. And then you can start thinking about the things that you want to bring with you into 2025. Maybe you want to bring some things, maybe you want to leave some things behind in 2024. It's all good either way, but we're going to start with reflection prompts, part 1. And I will just say that for me, 2024 was pretty great. I had a really good year in 2024. I feel like personally, definitely personally, professionally, as far as my being an employee side of my professional life went well. And then I did some things in my business and made some changes and invested in not just financial investments, but invested in, better resources for um, the business as a whole. So I feel that 2024 was um, a really good year. And I know that that was not everybody's experience in 2024. So I just want to let you know, whether you felt like you ended 2024 in a good space or a bad space, the New Year refresh is going to help you really set your intentions and have some clarity around what you want as we go into 2025. I don't like to wing it. I definitely think it's good to loosely plan and have that flexibility to pivot if you need to. But our lives are meant to be lived, and I don't think we should live them passively. We need to have some clear intentions, set some goals or, goalposts to really be able to make sure we're moving in the direction that we would like to be moving. So, in this episode, basically, oh man, making all types of chatter with my phone here. So basically, what we're going to do for this episode is we're going to go through the reflection prompts. There's 3 pages worth. There's just 9 of them. They're just on several pages. And how we're going to work this is I'm going to go through each prompt. I'm going to give you my answer, my honest answer of how my 2024 was. Probably going to have a little bit of side commentary as we go through it, as I typically do. But that's how we're going to work through it. So whether you're filling it out as we go and as you're listening, you can do that. Pause me if you need to, or you can just listen the full way through and then complete it after. It's up to you. It's definitely up to you. There's no right or wrong way. So, the first prompt is, what were my favorite parts of 2024? So, you're going to want to think about this for the whole year. What were your favorite parts? And for me, I used the word togetherness. So, I spent a lot of time with the people I care about in 2024, specifically my husband and my daughter. We spent a lot of time together this year because we did a lot of things in the house. So I I've been really focused on like paying off some credit card debt. So just really being mindful of spending and shuffling things around so I can pay things down. And because of that, it's like, hey, do you want to go out and create this experience outdoors that could just kind of blow up your budget? Or can we be more present at home? And I've been doing the latter and trying to be more present at home. And so we spent a lot more time together, and we got some new neighbors in about April, and they're really great. So we did a lot of cookouts together, had dinner together. Um, we set up our fire pit and did a lot of stuff in the summer. The summer specifically was really nice time. Anytime there was warm weather, we were outside, so it got a lot more sunlight, and we were just all, present and together, which was really, really great. And on the business side with my investments, as I mentioned, wasn't only putting money into the business, but really trying different strategies and bringing different resources that are more supportive for you all who have been supporting me on this journey of being a self-care and mom life coach. I do all of this for you to benefit your joy and your motherhood experience. And I really learned in 2024 how the challenges in motherhood just change form. And I was trying to figure out, how can I create resources that continue to support you, whether your child is 6 months old, 6 years old, 16 years old. And so I had my head down and was really focused on that. If you've been a fan of the podcast, you noticed I brought on a lot more guests, which was really nice to get different perspectives from other mothers and for you to hear from other mothers and some of the challenges that they are working through or have overcome in their motherhood experience. So you can expect a lot more of that in 2025. I got, more followers and more people on my email list and things like that. So things went pretty well in business. So I think that my favorite parts for that were just my growth. And I'm still a newbie when it comes to the business side of things. I started back 2 and 5 in 2021. So I'm, I guess, working on my fourth year, but just learning. I'm just continuing to learn and grow in the business, and also continuing to learn and grow as a mother and as a wife and all of that. And it all was really happening this year. So those are my favorite parts. So think about what your favorite parts of 2024 were, and that's your prompt one. If you're looking for a supportive village of like-minded women to go through motherhood with, Reconnect is the membership for you. It's not just coaching and workshops, it's community. It's your roadmap to a life where your needs matter, your well-being thrives, and your joy is front and center. Whether you're just starting to explore self-care or you're ready for deeper support, there's a membership level to meet your needs. Visit back2and5.com to get started. Prompt 2. What did I learn about myself in 2024? So for me, one thing that I learned is that I get really tired when I have to synthesize information, which the synthesization part of, I guess, processing information is really analyzing and evaluating all the input that you get and having to do something with it and make decisions and make determinations with that information. And I learned in 2024 that I get really just exhausted from that. And in the past, I would say that just such an what's the word? Such an influx of information coming in, whether it was at work, at home, in business, from friends, no matter where it was coming from, it used to be just overwhelming. And now there's not like an overwhelm that comes with it. I don't feel overloaded by the information that comes in, and just things that are happening in life. I just get really tired mentally. I get tired. And I had to start taking breaks, just taking more breaks and having more quiet time. And so with my commute, I had to start preparing for my commute home a little differently so that I can decompress better. I had to lay off some podcasts sometimes after work because it was just too much information that was coming in to have to synthesize. um, it's like I'm learning this information and what do I do with it? Where does it go? And I just had to let things rest a little bit more. So it was a lot more quiet rides home and a lot more just putting on, like some smooth jazz or classical music as I drove home. So that was different. It was a different thing. Um, and it was definitely something I learned about myself in 2024 because it impacted how I really approach being open to having more information coming my way. There were a lot of just things I said no to in 2024 because I was like, even to take the time to prepare to be on this panel or to prepare to travel to do this project at work, it's going to take way too much of processing in my brain for me to be able to just be present in that moment. And I just didn't, um, I just didn't account for that. I just didn't know that it was going to happen. So I learned that about myself in 2024. Prompt number 3, overall, were you happy in 2024? And this doesn't have to be a knee jerk answer. You don't have to feel very quick to say yes or quick to say no. You should really reflect on that, sit with it. Were you happy in 2024 as a whole? Or were you happy more often than you were not? You can think of it that way. I was happy in 2024, very happy, and hopefully it stays that way in 2025. Part 2 on your reflection prompts. In what ways did I show myself love in 2024? Okay. So when you're thinking about this, ways that you showed yourself love, it could be as simple as you took 5 minutes for yourself every day or every couple of days, or you consistently were listening to this podcast to learn new ways where you can pour into yourself, or maybe you were just being more present and showing up with the people that you love. Just think about the ways that you just were proactively making sure that you were okay. Because sometimes I know, especially with the mothers I work with, love is a big emotion, and some women feel like they really aren't there with themselves yet, and that they have to do better with showing themselves love. That's one thing that comes up in a lot of workshops that I do is, I do all this for other people and I just don't make the time to do these things for me. And I'm expecting other people to do for me when really I need to do for myself. So really think about in what ways you showed yourself love or treated yourself with kindness in 2024. For me, I stayed committed to working out. That's part of why I'm exhausted right now while recording this episode. I wanted to get it done, needed to get it done, but I went to the gym prior to this, and I've just been working out differently. And so just staying committed to that, doing more strength training, and just being mindful that I'm getting older. I'm 36. My body has been changing. My body just has different needs as far as even like my hydration levels, how much water I need to get me through the day. That has changed. How strength training, like lifting weights, and even when I'm just doing my body weight, how that feels on my body is different. How I have to stretch is different, all of that stuff. So really, I've been staying committed to my workout and honoring my body in the ways that it's telling me to. I paused a lot to eat. So if you are similar to your approach to motherhood as I am with mine, when I was spending a lot of time just really thinking that I had to sacrifice my needs in order to be a good mom, I created a lot of bad habits, like eating while standing up. Like I would make a full lunch, for example, for my daughter, and then I would be like, "Ugh, I'm not hungry, so I'll just have a smoothie real quick, or I'll make myself a peanut butter and jelly," and I would just like eat it while doing laundry, eat it while cleaning up toys, drink my smoothie while doing something else. And had made it a point to take a break during meal times, which is something that we do with our children. When, we have our kids, we tell them it's time for you to eat, stop, sit at the table and focus on your food. And I was not doing that for myself. And so I was getting into this feeling of being rushed because I was not really taking my breaks. Even at work, when I would be in the office, I would sometimes be eating and, doing something else and not fully disengaging from whatever I was doing. So that was one thing that I did to show myself some love. I said yes to my needs, whatever they were. So even if I had made a commitment, said to a friend, "Hey, we'll hang out Saturday at noon. Oh, sorry. And then by Saturday at 10:30 a.m., I was just absolutely exhausted and knew that it would put me over the edge to do it. I would just, you know, call or text, "Hey, will it be a huge deal if we didn't do this today?" Because I knew in my spirit I could go and I could do this and just deal with the consequences of, pushing myself, but really just understanding that people want you to show up your best self. So I would call people and say, "Hey, rain check." Rain check, this happened. I just need to rest. So saying yes to my needs more, and not so much seeing it as saying no to other people, but truly seeing it as saying yes to me. I slowed down my pace a lot. And then, as I talked about, just making just different investments into um, my business and into Back to You in Five and creating different types of content. And I hired on a social media manager for a little bit. Well, contracted social media manager for a minute. And I made a big financial investment into like a CRM, which is like a customer relationship manager database type thing, which I use to bring guests onto the podcast, and it just makes the system way more streamlined, and it helps people know what time they need to meet me, what they need to bring, and all of that, and it just saved me time because I am a mom, I am a wife, and I do work full time outside of the home. And I am building this business, Back to You in Five, and then also bringing you resources via the podcast. So it was getting to the point in 2024 where I felt I was spreading myself too thin, and I didn't want that to be the case. So I was like, "You're gonna have to invest some money into some support," and I did that. So that was a way to give me some of my time back. The next prompt is, how did I prioritize my needs in 2024? So think about really how you not just understood what it was that you needed. For the example that I used with, if I had set up like a little friend date for me to hang out with someone, and then I knew that I just needed to rest instead. This is one thing to know. It's another thing entirely to prioritize that need. So how did you prioritize your needs in 2024? For me, I made a lot of adjustments to my self-care routine when it was necessary. So turning a yes into a no, like if I had to reschedule something, um, maybe working out on a day I didn't plan on working out, or doing a lazy workout, or shortening my workout because I started it and I just wasn't feeling it. I was very, very intentional about sleeping and resting. And when I get home from work, oftentimes, my daughter's on me. Like as soon as I come in, she has all these things that she wants to talk to me about. So I've also been training her, like, let me get in the door first. Like, let's get in the door. Let me take my things off, put my bag down, and then let me sit and talk with you. So before I even try to do anything else, just coming in, sitting down, greeting my family, and us all talking for a couple of minutes before we do whatever needs done for our after school slash after work activities has been really helpful to prioritizing my needs. And sleeping has been a really big deal, just with my bedtime routine, putting my phone away at least an hour before I'm planning to wind down, just so I'm not overstimulated from the screen and I can just better fall asleep. So if you are someone who's been struggling with sleeping, it could be something that's honestly could be just related to your hormones. Try to be proactive about jump starting your bedtime routine and making sure that you're separating yourself from screens and, other overstimulating things. Maybe you need some white noise in the background. Maybe you need to do aromatherapy in your shower. Maybe you need a different scent in your bedroom, something that is just more readily triggering you into that calming, getting ready for bed cycle. How well did I manage my mental load? I'll be honest with you. The first 6 months of the year, I would say not so well. I was really, how would I say? I was just busying myself with things that just weren't very important. Just weren't very important. And then um, I would get myself so caught up in um, all of these tasks and things that really didn't matter. And the mental load audit was really born out of me mismanaging my mental load. So the mental load audit is it's a resource that I offer now, that you could also get at backtoon5.com/mom. And it basically goes through all of these tasks and it asks you, who does what in your home, who's responsible for it, or who is carrying the load. For example, one is like inventorying the groceries. So it has like me, them, or like both. So it's either you do it, your spouse or partner does it, or you both kind of tag team it and have your responsibility in it. So it's all these different tasks like that. And for us, the groceries specifically, we both do that. But there were things that I maybe was only doing, but then the other part of the audit is you ranking how important is that thing to the functioning and longevity of your life, happiness, and all of that within your household. And so one of those things for me, which I talked about in maybe 2 seasons ago, but was just how I go through seasonally and change out my daughter's clothes. So I do that. Not that I not that my husband and I decided that that responsibility was going to be mine, but I took it on. I took that responsibility on. And so I go through all her clothes at the change of the season. I pull out the stuff that she doesn't fit anymore. And then I like kind of inventory everything. And when she was younger, one, it was a little more fun because it's like, it was kind of like a nostalgic moment because it's like, oh, she was a toddler and look at these little 3 month clothes, and or she was an infant and look at these little 3 month clothes, and now she's in like a 2T or whatever, and you're looking like, oh, I remember when she wore this, and that kind of thing, and it was kind of like a charming thing. I liked it. Now it's a lot to do because then it's like, okay, well, if she has grown out of all of her black leggings, now I have to go and get more leggings. And it just it was a task that started creating more work for me that I then wasn't sharing the load with my husband. And then I was getting resentful of him because, well, he doesn't have to do this thing with these clothes when anybody can come in and look at a tag and say, is this her size or is it not her size? And so I was putting way too much value on that task and making it seem like, oh, I do everything because I do this one thing that doesn't really carry that much weight. Because if my husband gets her dressed, one too many times and it seems like her clothes are too small, he's going to the store that day. He's not even waiting. He's just like, oh, I realized that I put on a pair of pants on her today and yesterday and they were too small. So I went and bought her 10 new pairs of pants. So I'm not sure if that's making sense, but it was just the mental load audit was born out of understanding that there are tasks that really are important and have more weight to the the joy and happiness that you have in your family. And then there are these lower level tasks where someone has to do it and they're really not that important because they don't happen that often, or they can easily be remedied without someone having to spend so much time on it. And so I did much better in the second half of 2024 with managing my mental load. And again, if you want to take advantage of the mental load audit, you can get it at backtouin5.com/mom, which is the link that is always linked in the show notes. And it has a few different resources on there. So it's kind of like a link tree, but it's just a resource tree for Back to in 5. So let's do this final 3 here. I hope this is helpful. I didn't script this one, obviously, because I'm fumbling. But I thought that this would be a very real way to walk through a reflection with you as my listener, on how I reflect on the past year, and then how we use reflective tools to set goals for the year we're in. Okay. On part 3, which of my 2024 goals did I accomplish? So which of your goals did you accomplish? This is the time. Whoa, sorry. This is the time for you to pull out your vision board if you did one for 2024, or just pull out your list that you use for your goals. Go back through your journal to see what some of your goals were, to see what you accomplished. So in 2024, for me, I finished writing a book. So it's in editing right now. But it is just another resource for moms to be able to create a sustainable self-care routine and reclaim joy in their motherhood experience using an actual book as their guide to get through that. So basically, the first draft is done and we're in editing. And that was a big goal that I had for 2024. And I spent a lot more time at home in 2024, which was a goal. I really wanted to enjoy my mortgage and be home and be present here. Even though we did other things in early in 2024, my husband and I went to the West Coast. We celebrated our 5-year marriage anniversary out there. We did some little weekend trips, things with our family. We did some things just outside of here, like some traveling things, but we did a lot of things just in the house, the 3 of us. And we had to make some little adjustments because Bristol, our daughter, got busier with some of the activities she's doing. She's in dance and she's also in competitive dance, and she does soccer in the fall, then spring. And then in this winter time, she's been doing basketball. So it's been very busy for us in the evenings. And then my husband started working 10-hour shifts instead of 8-hour shifts. And he does overnight. So there was a lot of, I was coming in and he was going, and he's handling the morning routine and getting her to school on his own, and he does school pickup, and then at night it was just kind of me just doing the bedtime routine. So he and I have just had to be very intentional about getting together and spending time together one-on-one, which we did very well, and I was very excited about that. Made an impact on our finances, just like you said, just paying down debt, and just really keeping our head down and doing that. And we made some really good progress on that. And I was just very present, and I felt at peace just about all of 2024. Most of 2024, I said no to some things and was able to say yes to a lot of different things. So I felt that in 2024, I accomplished a lot. Prompt 7. Which of my daily routines supported my growth? Talked about this earlier, my bedtime routine. Winding down, putting my phone away, making sure we're having quiet time. This started with our daughter going to first grade. We don't let her watch TV. Well, really, none of us really watch TV during the week anymore, but no TV time during the week. We only do that on the weekend, so that really contributed to us being able to be more present, especially in the evenings when we get home, so we can do an activity together or just hang out before we have to take her to whatever activity activity that she has, which has really cut back on all of us being overstimulated before bedtime. And that way we're being able to read a little bit extra at night. And she's been doing really well with her reading and math. We're able to work on those little skills and then really have nice conversations with each other at night. And then with my strength training has really helped support like my core, because I have I was just having like lower back pain, and just from sitting all day at a desk, just changing the way that I train so that I just feel stronger and have more endurance was very helpful to me in my growth. So think about your daily routine. It doesn't have to be anything mm, as elaborate as having a big structured fitness routine, or having this big structured nutritional routine, or starting to see a therapist or anything like that. It doesn't have to be that big. It can be on a small scale. What did you start doing for you? Have you been drinking your coffee while it's hot? Have you been taking your lunch breaks? Have you been prioritizing movement by just getting up when your watch tells you it's time to get up instead of ignoring it? Have you been getting up and taking a little walk? Which of those daily routines have been truly supporting your growth? And your growth is not just, I don't mean like personal growth, professional growth. I'm talking about your mental growth, your mental wellness. Next episode, we're going to start talking about just your overall wellness, and how an overall wellness approach to your self-care routine really helps you in setting your goals as we go into 2025. So, how have your daily routines impacted your social wellness, physical wellness, spiritual wellness, emotional wellness, and intellectual wellness? How have those been improved? How have you grown in one or all of them through your daily routine? And the last one here, your last prompt is, how much time did I dedicate to my loved ones? And this is important. Last season, I talked about the trifecta of motherhood, and how motherhood is a relationship, a role, and a responsibility. And most of the time, women are struggling with the role and responsibility, the weight of that in motherhood. But then as our kids get older, there's this component of, how are we being present while we're on this, maybe you're on a trajectory in your career that takes you away from home more often than you would like. So then you have to be really intentional about when you are present with them. How can you disconnect from the outside world so that you can be present? So how much time did you dedicate to your loved ones? I dedicated most of my time to my loved ones. If I was not at work, I was typically at home being present. We did play dates, and I created friendships with Bristol's friends' parents. And it's not just like, that's such and such's mom. It's like, oh, that's my friend. And, doing that, and still texting friends and calling friends. And then I started taking my mom to lunch once a month. And so that she and I can have one-on-one time, because ever since my daughter was born, it's usually my daughter's always with us if I'm there, or my daughter's there and I'm not there. So just she and I having that one-on-one time, I found that to be important. And just, spending time with other people in my life who are important to me. So that's what I've been doing in 2024. So I hope my answers to the prompts helped you think about how things went for you in 2024. So make sure you take the time to complete those 9 prompts. And if there are things that I did not ask that you would like to answer, things that feel right for you, definitely do that. And then next episode is always going to be, not always, next episode is going to be um, all about the wellness points. So we're going to talk about how you can have a balanced approach to your overall wellness. And if you want to, ahead of that, make sure you download the companion guide, and then you can actually complete the overall wellness quiz before next week's episode, because we're going to talk a little bit about the quiz and each wellness point, and then we'll have some prompts for that as well. So again, Happy New Year and welcome back to What Self-Care Looks Like. I am excited to be doing this with you in 2025. And as always, thank you for being here, and I will talk to you very, very soon. Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode. I hope you learned at least one thing you can implement into your daily routine. To connect with me, follow at Back to You in 5 on Instagram. If you're feeling generous, share this episode with a mom you know and subscribe to the show. I appreciate your support. Remember, motherhood is a journey, not a destination. Grow through it and enjoy the view.